been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole because it's getting crowded up there now because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. Sometimes a change in view gives me all I need to make it through. Just take a different route. The coffee's brewing. Read the paper and question myself. What's it gonna be like today? My anger's brewing. I take a breath and hold it all in. What's it gonna be like today? If it's all a lesson, I'll never know the answer. If life's an answered prayer, well, I still waiting for mine. Take a different route. Sometimes a change in view gives me all I need to make it through. Sometimes a different view will spark a change in you. Give you all you need to start it down. There is. And not up around the...
All right. Yeah, we'll get it out there. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Two Rednecks and a microphone. Got one microphone this time.
Here's our one mic. We found it works better just using the one.
What's up, Fed Up, man? You want to join us for a little bit?
Yeah, old Fed Up, man. Joe's a good dude, man. He's putting together a hell of a festival up in New York, Pattersonville, New York, upstate New York. So this is country, rural area. July 29th and July 30th. It's a 2-day event. You can leave a comment here, and I'll get you in touch with him. But any true earthers out there, flat earthers, hollow earthers, whatever, that just know the globe is full of shit, you want to get together, man. It's going to be awesome. 177 acres, dispensaries, concessions. You can camp. You can bring your RV. You can get a room nearby, however you want to do it. But it's going to be a blast. July 29th to July 30th in Pattersonville, New York. Contact me or Fed Up Gear 5x5 on TikTok. That's his handle. But we're going to have a hell of a time, guys. What, brother?
The link, his email.
It went?
No, I need to send it.
Oh. Let me get this real quick.
Yeah, we're going to get a good buddy of ours in with us here real quick.
He's going to send it to you now, Joe.
Yeah, we're gonna get a good buddy of ours in with us here real quick.
But yeah, man, we're just getting on here, see what you guys want to talk about. We just did a live on TikTok, and we talked a lot about Antarctic expeditions. Back in the day, man, there's not just one guy that did this. So there's multiple people that went beyond and claimed to find more land. One of them was Admiral Byrd. Another one, he was from the United States. You had E.W. Barrington back in the late 1890s that said he found more land. And then third, you had, this is just the ones we know of. You had an Australian explorer named Sir George Hubert Wilkins, and he did it in 1928 as well. So it's not just one guy saying this. And common sense tells you if you keep going in a boat, there's going to be more land. It's not gonna. You're not gonna magically end up back where you started. It really takes a lot of indoctrination to find that to be reality. When did you wake up to this, Brian? How long ago?
Man, it's probably been, let me think, probably about 6 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, about 6 years for me. Like, I had a buddy in my unit that actually asked me about it. And I told him, I was like, dude, you're you're freaking crazy. I was like, the earth is not flat. Like, that's just the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And
You were probably a science guy like I was,
Oh.
astronomy guy. You want to be an astronaut, maybe. I would have loved to have been an astronaut.
oh, of course. Like, I was huge. I love that stuff. Like, I was like, we're gonna find civilizations elsewhere in the universe. We're gonna find all kinds of crap out there, And then he brought it up to me, and he was like, "Have you ever seen a satellite?" So I was like, "I don't have my phone because it's doing the video." But I grabbed my phone. I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, no, no, no. Have you ever seen one?" I was like, "Well, no, not personally." And he's like, "Okay, so why do you think they're real?" I was like, "Because NASA tells me." And he's
You
like,
ever heard of GPS?
right. And he goes, "Okay, well that's my point."
Yeah, that's something too. It just really makes a lot more sense when you think about an alien race or another, other people coming here, where you call UFOs. Does it make more sense that they travel trillions of miles because the closest star is 4 light years away? That's like 23 trillion miles. You can't even comprehend 23 trillion miles. And magically, these beings are able to travel that far. I mean, it makes zero sense. Zero. But traveling, let's say, 50,000 miles, that makes more sense. Coming from flying, a vessel that can fly, a vessel that can go into the water, go under, through some tunnels or through some openings, because all the water in these realms are connected. That's where you get these weird animals that we find in the ocean, like where they come from, out there. That's my view on it.
right, and they've even said with even just the octopus in our ocean that they're clearly not from Earth, that they're alien in nature because nothing about them is relevant to Earth. That it's completely different than anything we have.
There's animals that can reproduce themselves. There's jellyfish that can regenerate their cells and basically live forever. And our scientists are reverse engineering that, and they probably got their lifespans increased by using. That's how we figured out flight. It was a bird. A bird showed you that you can fly, so we have to figure out how the bird works and make something that's similar. And that's how we figured out how to do underwater shit, was by animals. How do they do it?
Yeah, exactly right. And I'll just say it while you're on the mic, but apparently we need to move this back and forth
Let's just put it right
as we
here,
talk or something like that. And
right in the middle.
is this okay, guys? I know Robert was saying that it was a little hard to hear Eric, but I think it was just because of the direction of the mic. So is it okay if it's here?
I have to talk, I guess, in order for that to work.
Well, I mean, if he can hear both of us, okay.
See, usually I'm louder than Brian, so the mic needs to be closer to him because I'm a loudmouth. But right now we're talking in a similar tone, so I can get louder if you want me to. Did Joe receive the link?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, we may have to text him and see. I know I sent it to him. I don't know what email address it's actually coming from because it's a little strange, but we'll see if he got it. If he did, we'll have. Oh, hold on, I see him. Let's bring him in here. There he is.
What's happening?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yes, welcome. Welcome.
Man up, what's up, brother?
Not too much.
You get all your shit done you had to get done today?
Boy, you had some trolls in that live, huh?
Every time, brother. I don't believe in moderators. I like to block them myself. I just love touching the button. You're blocked.
Yeah. Dude, it's something about just seeing the flags in the background just set
It
people
sets them
It's
off, Joe. 'Cause
insane.
it doesn't happen on my page a lot. It happens, but as soon as they see these flags, dude, they go fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Start calling us gay lovers, and I mean, where do they come up with this shit? I mean, do either one of us look remotely gay? I mean, I don't know.
You're missing the rainbow flag, I guess.
I guess so. I guess we have to be more tolerable. I guess if I put one of those up there, it'd be fine.
Ain't happening.
No.
So, Joe,
Hey.
tell us about the festival, bud. I want to really push this. This is awesome.
If you guys embrace this and you take it on and represent the gay flat Earth, you could probably blow that up.
Hey, man, I was at a party last week, and they all know me. They all know my beliefs. And one of them, he's a detective, and the guy says he's going to start his own page where he's in like a blue suit, like the what do you call the green screen?
Yeah.
And his balls are going to be sticking out of his pants. That's all you're going to be able to see, okay? And he's going to like drape his balls across all kinds of stuff.
Oh no.
So my friend's over there and goes, "Hey, Crawley, you need to drape your balls across the flat Earth, the flat Earth map." Dude, we were dying.
Oh, that's crazy.
My left ear ain't working. This is brand new.
I guess you need to get a hearing aid.
No, I can hear. It's just.
I don't know. What's
But tell us about the flat
Does
Earth.
the
Festival.
YouTube chat come up on this screen at all?
I can see it. I don't know if it shows on everybody or not. I've not been on the other side before.
It's not showing up.
No, all I see is a thing for the. Oh wait, yeah, I got it.
You do? Okay, cool. I was gonna say, worst case scenario, I may just have to go on YouTube and watch.
Oh wait, yeah, I got it.
But yeah, like Eric was saying, you got this big event coming up, man. Like, let's try and see if we can get some people interested in this and fill up that place.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So what you got going on? Tell everybody a little bit about it.
Well, this is kind of been stressful as hell, but really what stemmed this for me was kind of my journey on TikTok. I would try to get away from talking about flat Earth. It's definitely an interesting topic for me, and I like researching this stuff. I like learning about it, but the hatred that it brings on you, man, it's horrible. And I tried to stick to like the holistic part of this, because ultimately, once you go down the path of flat Earth research, you're going to step back and you're going to look at everything completely different. Your history, your education, science, all the institutions that are willing to kind of perpetuate this world as we know it into your mind. And, you kind of just want to take a step back from all that. And obviously there is poison in our food and our water. And I kind of gravitated towards the holistic end of this. And that's where I spend most of my research. And I love watching everybody else bring in the debates and watching Caleb and Derek they go on they do the debates and stuff. Those guys are doing a lot of research, and they seem to handle that end of it pretty good. So I like to stay towards the holistic side of it, but it's kind of like a topic that just keeps constantly drawing you back, right? You try to push yourself away from it a little bit, and there's comment after comment after comment, and you like, so it just kind of keeps
in.
it keeps sucking you back in. Well, as you're involved in that topic or in this community, this group of people, it just brings an onslaught of hatred against you. And I thought to myself, man, well, I had also gone to Flattoberfest in South Carolina last year, and personally, I'm not typically like a people person. I don't go out of my way to talk to people, right?
Right.
But when I was at this thing, it's kind of like you just share the same vibe with everybody because they're at that same point, same journey, same research path that you're on. And it was just pretty amazing to be, I don't know what was there, maybe 300 people or so, but there was pretty much no one that you couldn't just walk up to and have a conversation. And that was so cool.
Yeah.
And
I
I think that's what's
definitely-
really cool. I'm
I
sorry,
thought it would be cool to have something much bigger than that turnout. I don't understand why there wasn't more people at that thing. Hopefully there's more at that one this year. I think it's going to be in Vegas this year.
Right.
But so I came up with this idea that, you go on TikTok, you're talking about this stuff, and you're constantly dealing with the badgering and the trolls and everybody attacking your content and everything. I'm like, man, what if we could bring all these people together and have them do some presentations and just be in an environment that doesn't have all of that animosity, where people can actually listen to some other explanations for things, some of the scientific stuff, some of the holistic stuff, some of the spiritual stuff, and just make a weekend out of it. So
Yeah, I keep hearing
Bluetooth
the
disconnected.
song "Everybody Knows Your Name" in the back.
Yeah. I use that one for like the
I
first
saw it.
promo.
I saw it. That's why it clicked. But what's the dates on this? That you're planning?
July 29th and 30th.
Okay. Hey, real quick, where can people go if they want to get tickets?
Maybe I can drop that link in the comments here on YouTube.
Okay. I was gonna say I can add a ticker to the bottom here if you want as well.
Yeah, well, I could text that to Eric too if you want to put it on there.
Okay. That'll be fine. I just want to have something on here consistently so that people, as they come in, can see it and either ask questions about it or go and actually get some tickets.
The tickets are $125 for 2 days. He's also Fed Up Gear is going to give you one of his Flat Earth shirts that he makes. Check out his business. It's Fed Up Gear 5x5. You have a website for that. That's a website as well, right?
Yep. I just texted you the link for it goes to my website and the ticket section.
Sure.
But yeah, I was going to wear my Fed Up shirt, and I got out and got halfway here and realized it, but I wear it in my videos a lot. This black one with the white, but super good quality, man. Brian's got a t-shirt as well. So we're trying to support, everybody needs to join in and support their fellow true earthers, any way they can.
You know what I think is going to be like one of the most amazing parts about this, and this whole thing is honestly still a process in the works. Like I haven't laid out the actual schedule of the events or the presentations or anything, or how the 2 days is going to be broke down, but I just think about all of the content that's going to come from this event.
Oh God.
Like all of the YouTube coverage, the TikToks, the live streams, and really it's just going to be an event, I think, kind of counteracting the idea that this is just uneducated, stupid people talking about stuff they don't know about, when it's not the case, man. There is valid questions here, and I think this is
the
important.
other day where a guy was talking about it, and he said he's not a flat earther, but he said he really respects flat earthers' willingness to go against the grain and to be made fun of and all these things, to ask legitimate questions. He says these are questions everybody should have. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily the way we perceive it, but he said these questions are legitimate questions, and people are calling them clowns and calling them flirts. He says that these people are asking legitimate questions. People like Caleb, yourself, me, and Brian, Dare, all these things. We don't bring up stupid questions, man. These are legitimate. Like the one I asked earlier, why is the North Pole 58 degrees warm or 55 degrees warmer than the South Pole? When it's on the ball, it's doing this, it's doing its little tilt and wobble. They should be similar, and they're not. You know, that's a legitimate question.
You know, even when there's not a legitimate answer yet, or people haven't figured out what exactly is going on, it's definitely interesting just to watch this stuff. I just watched one today where Derek was talking about the tides, and basically NASA's explanation for the heliocentric model, the tides, they say that it kind of sucks the globe out in the center, right? And draws the water out, and the Earth is rotating within that water. Well, he went in and he looked at, obviously the highest tides would be at the equator, right? If that's where the bulge of the sphere is, that's where the highest water is going to be. And according to the records of the tides, that data doesn't match up. So
never does.
So just the fact that what you have as an explanation may work in your mind because no one's really ever questioned it. You'll just hear something, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's why there's an eclipse, and that's why there's high tides, and because you're provided an answer for everything. If you have an answer for everything, it's like
you lose all will for creative thinking, outside the box, thinking, questioning things that don't make sense.
What's up, Baxter?
Yeah, you lose it. You lose that will to gain new knowledge.
Yeah, we've got a question here from Robert Weigel. He says, "Why is there hills on the Earth, though?" I guess when talking about flat Earth, people start thinking that there is no variation in topography whatsoever. But man, there's going to be hills and mountains still on a flat plane. It's just the overall shape of the Earth is not a sphere. Like, does that make sense that you can still have mountains and hills on a flat plane?
I think we lost it when people called it flat Earth. It discredits it because we're not a flat pancake. People say we're flat as a pancake. No, we're not. We are far from flat as a pancake. But what we are,
that's just a taken way too literally. I mean,
yes. It makes it have an edge too, and it's like there's, what I believe. That I believe in the infinite land and water, man. Vegetation goes on and on and on. And I don't believe necessarily that no confounded map is 100% accurate, but it gives a conceptual idea of what outer space truly is. It's not black emptiness, vacuum, Big Bang, all that crap. You have to be indoctrinated to believe that.
Why is it that the sun's heat supposedly travels almost 100 million miles, yet a puff off of white wispy clouds floats between you and the temperature drops like 5 degrees? It's local, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
That is another thing, because it's like 93 million miles. The sun, the light from the sun travels. It doesn't lose any of its properties for 93 million miles, right? But the last 4,000 on that tilt makes the difference. It's still reaching the Earth. There's If it didn't lose all its properties for 93 million miles, why is it going to lose it in the last 0.00004% of its journey? It's not. It's not going to change the temperatures that much.
So when you talk about the sun, one of the major things is look at the images that are provided to you from NASA, and then look at the solar lens images from these guys doing astrophotography, right? The sun looks nothing like the professional images that we're provided with, right? Why? Same thing with the stars and the planets and all the celestial lights that we have in the sky. They don't match the professional images, right? The sun thing, it's like if you just imagine this flaming ball of gases that they're telling you that it is 93 million miles away, right? No matter which model you're talking about, it gets cooler as you travel towards the sun, right? Whether you're talking about the heliocentric model and you're going out into outer space, it's getting colder as you're traveling closer to the sun, or you're talking about a local sun on a flat plane. In both cases, the temperatures are decreasing as you travel up towards the sun. So perhaps, maybe, just maybe, the sun is not what they're telling you it is, if that's the case. Like,
right. Yeah,
so
that
just
doesn't
to be,
make sense.
You can, when you walk outside your house and you open the door and that sun ray hits you, you feel the warmth of the sun coming from either locally or 93 million miles away. You feel that, and as you travel towards that source of heat, it gets cooler, right? So why is it so insane to question that maybe it's not what they're telling you it is?
Right. And it's like Baxter was saying, when the sun comes up, it naturally gets colder in the morning, and that's because the same heat rises. So you got heat level as the sun's coming in towards us. The heat's going to go up towards the top of I'm going to say it, the firmament. So yeah, it's going to get cooler down below until the heat comes back down and meets us back at ground level.
That is odd because, like, if you go up on Mount Everest, the further up you go, the colder it gets. It's because of the atmosphere. I'm assuming.
Yep.
But yeah, that doesn't make sense. But the main thing that doesn't make sense to me is if in a vacuum of space, they say the sun doesn't lose, the heat doesn't dissipate from the sunlight because there's nothing for it to, there's no matter.
Reflect off of, yep.
Yeah, there's no matter. So it shouldn't make a zero difference if the Earth is tilted. It will not change that heat. It would not make it any cooler or any hotter for that last 4,000 miles of its journey if it's tilted this way or tilted this way. It's a piss poor explanation of how the seasons work.
Well, there definitely is documentation of a solar simulator, and I don't know what the hell is with that stuff, but
you got any good comments over there?
Yeah, I brought up one from Level-Headed Music that I think is a really good like small scale example of using a patio heater at a restaurant. You're right. When you're further away from it, it gets cooler. So that heat source, of course, is local, and those around it can feel the heat. So yes, that's a good example. I appreciate you saying that. But and Robert Wiggle, he's like, I still need to know if the sun is real or not. Yes, the sun is real. It's just not as NASA has made it out to be.
You also had the moon's shadow off that eclipse being 70 miles wide. And if the moon is 238,000 miles away, or how big is the moon? What is it, 2,000 miles in diameter or something like that? It's something like that. A shadow is never smaller than the object it is shadowing from. It's like the shadow is always the same size or bigger. It's not smaller. So that would show me that the moon is about 70 miles in circumference. That's what or wide, That shows you. The shadow would show you exactly. Yeah, the diameter of the moon is 2,159 miles. So yeah, the shadow should be that big.
It should be. It should cover the entire United States when we have a eclipse.
But yeah, it doesn't. It shows 70
And
miles. So that's, and if the sun is, or the moon is 70 miles and appears to be the same size as the sun, that would make me believe the sun is 70 miles as well.
and you know they try to be like, well, there it's parallax or whatever they want to call it of light coming through the atmosphere, and they use all these crazy little crisscross like equations as how you can make a shadow smaller than the object. You know, like it's craziness. You know, any of you guys can go out there, take a light and a round object or anything for that matter, and try to make the shadow smaller. You can make the shadow bigger, but you can never make it smaller. It always ends up being the exact same size of the object that's casting it. So to have a 70-mile width of shadow, that either means the moon is 70 miles in diameter or smaller, because you can't cast a shadow that's bigger. So I don't know, man. I think just people hearing this stuff, like they've been told these things for so long that I think the anger is more fear than anything.
I agree. How long have you been on this path, Joe? We're about a year in.
I would say maybe 2 years.
What
But,
was
you know,
your
like I said,
awakening moment? What got
for a
you
while, I tried not to even discuss a lot of this because I didn't want this. Like, I didn't want to just be a flat earth content person on TikTok. You know, I had other stuff that I had been working on and other messages and missions, and this just kind of was one of my things, but it seems to have dragged me into it. So
It's hard to get out of it once you get going because
I'm embracing it now, I guess.
Yeah, these topics, man, are get your brain working, and that's what's kept me going. Is I either got Tartaria to think about, I've got Neil Funded to think about, get me excited about other worlds and old worlds, and you know, lies of NASA. These things are driving my brain. You know,
I think like everybody, I just thought the flat Earth is stupid. Like I really paid that no mind back in 2014 and stuff. Whenever it first was kind of big, and it just seemed like, you know, some small thing. Only a few people are talking about this, and you know, I guess the topic didn't really pique my interest that much back then. But then watching if you look at the moon landing and you come out of that now, going back and rewatching it, and you believe that that was real, like that's a deal breaker, man. And some of the things that ultimately, like there's a ton of great discussion going on about both the heliocentric model and the flat Earth model, and I think that's awesome that people are bringing such good points up on both ends of this and having these discussions. And really, it's all the anger and the belittling and the hatred stuff. That's what sucks, because I mean that's getting you nowhere, you know.
Yeah, I can't picture that being a driving force for me and my internet experience. Going on other people's pages and hating, you know, go to a page you agree with, go to a page you like and inspires you and puts you in a positive mindset. Because the energy you put off is the energy you get back in this universe. And these people thrive on negativity, and I can't live my life like that.
No, that's horrible.
It's too much fun being inspired, you know.
Well,
I think once you like, there's so many details and so many these formulas and equations, and like they get deep into this stuff, right? People are going back and reading through all this documentation and bringing all these statistics up, and they're getting head to head in these battles and really trying to sort this stuff out. For me, empirically, I wanted to prove three things to myself: the curvature of the Earth, the motion of the Earth, and the validity of space travel. And I was unsuccessful in proving those three things to myself. So I may not be,
You're the dumbest flat earther ever.
yeah, I might not have all of the statistics to go against Bill Nye the Science Guy, but
Right.
He said this the other day. He says, I think I'm the dumbest flat earther ever. You know why? Because I don't really care what you think, basically, is what you were saying, right?
yeah, I mean, if you think that calling me stupid for asking a question, then you do what you got to do, right? I mean,
Well, it's funny that you know all through school, just growing up, being taught about the solar system, and it's just say, oh, a stationary thing where we're just revolving around the sun. Now that's what I was taught, and then all of a sudden they're like, maybe that's not entirely accurate. I think we're flying through space, chasing the sun, and that's just changed in my lifetime. So like they don't even know. Like they go to tell you that you're stationary spinning around the sun, and now all of a sudden we're flying through space.
Let me ask you a question, both of you. When I was growing up, I remembered the seasons because the Earth followed an elliptical orbit. So it was an elliptical orbit. There were times we were closer to the sun and further away from the sun, and that's what explained the seasons. Now all of a sudden, I'm hearing this axis tilt causes the seasons. I don't remember being taught that as a child. Do you? I'm 49 though. I'm older than you guys, but I remember the elliptical orbit causes the seasons because at certain times we're further away and certain times we're closer. That's what I was.
so I have a problem with this access thing as well, because when they go to talk about their gravity, and one of the things I get called stupid for is talking about the upside down airplanes and helicopters and cargo ships, right?
Well, when you show a picture of something being upside down like that, it's freaking comical
Yeah, but
because no one thinks about it in that nature.
honestly, like if you were to just visually back yourself out away from our globe, right? At some point, you would have to see something like that, because they're telling you that the Earth is the center, the ground is always down, there is no up or down in space. Well, then how is there an access? If there is no up or down, how do we have an access? That makes no sense.
You're absolutely
Right? That contradicts itself.
And plus, with them saying that our orbits are kind of like an oval, it's not a perfect circle, right? And we're
Yeah.
traveling, incredibly fast. Well, at some point in time, you have to slow down to make that curve if it's not a perfect
Yes.
circle.
And that's catastrophic.
Yeah, so at a slowdown going that fast, we would all be flung off the freaking
I
planet.
mean, none of that makes sense to it. Eric DeBise shared something that showed if it's the path of the Earth around the sun, it would change time completely. It would you would be 12 hours different when you're over here than when you were over here. So your daylight would be darkness all of a sudden. It's just like all this stuff when you look into it, it's all a bunch of hogwash, man. All of it is it's re-engineered to their love and worship of the sun.
I think one of the confirming things of this topic for me was before I even embarked on flat earth stuff, I was digging into time, because time is something that's very difficult for us to grab a concept of, right? And I had already been down the path of the 13 months with 28 days, right? Our clock, or our sky is a clock. If you look up, it's a compass,
Exactly.
it's a clock. It's mapping everything that freaking makes sense to you. And then you get to the daylight and nighttime duration and the seasons, and trying to make sense of all this stuff. And when you stop and think about it, this is another thing where it's like the globe needs all this stuff in order to make this work. We have 24 different time zones. That time zone starting with when the sun is at high noon in those locations. So you're essentially changing the time to make it work towards your model. Like,
Yeah, because
how
we're
is
only
how is
in
that
one time.
explaining time?
There's only one time now. If I
Right.
called you in Australia, you answer the phone. It may maybe be sleeping, but we're in the same time. It's
Right.
just yours on the dark side and I'm on the light.
Absolutely.
And the time zones truly only work on the flat Earth. That's the only way. If the sun is moving around us, that's what creates the time zones. It's
I think you have one in Kentucky, right? Isn't there a line right in Kentucky?
Yeah, it divides us between Eastern and Central time.
Yeah, because I drove through that in Kentucky, and it's like that's one of the weirdest feelings in the world, man. You're driving and you look at the clock, and a few minutes later, now all of a sudden you're in a different time zone. Like that makes no sense.
Right, right. And it even goes back as far as to when we celebrate New Year. You know, I mean, who in the right mind in the middle of winter would be like, oh, no, it's a new year now?
no,
Like,
it's
absolutely
spring,
not.
man.
Yeah,
it's April. April
Yeah.
1st,
Yeah,
Fool's
spring
Day.
to spring.
April Fool's Day. That's what
Yep.
it's all about. That's what April Fool's Day is all about, people. You're all stupid. You don't know when
Well,
spring and the start of life is the start of the season.
Yeah, and
That's the start of the year.
I think that's what's like so cool about flat Earth or true Earth, whatever you want to call it, is because it introduces you to so much more than
Oh, yeah.
just the shape of the planet. Like you start looking at, like I said, the new year. You start looking at
The mud floods.
religion, the mud flood, Tartaria. Like it opens up so much more, and it's just like your head's going everywhere. And
That's
it's
where I'm
really
at
cool.
currently.
It's
That's
exciting.
why people call me crazy because my head's all over the place. But it truly is, man. He's 100% right.
Yeah.
It gave me a new love for the sun and moon again. I started to appreciate them again. Started to look up more.
Because it kind of is a web that intertwines so much stuff. Like I feel like this discussion is the domino that almost exposes all other conspiracies, if you will, right? You have the misconception. I think what we have is a misconception of time. That's the best way that I could describe what time is. Look at the leap year. How does that make any fucking sense other than they've taken a vast portion of our time and messed with it in our heads, and now we need to somehow make up for that time frame. So we got this leap year, and that's going to explain that. And we have these time zones, and that explains why it's a different time here and there. Like that's mental gymnastics, which people accuse us of using. But you have to use all this different stuff. So the time is one of the things that it intertwines, and our history. Obviously, if you start discussing the heliocentric and a flat topographical plane, you're going to have conflict of history, religion, and ultimately what goes into our education, what we're teaching our children, and how we live our lives out from that point. Because if you don't know where you are, you don't know what your purpose is here, you're going to follow along with what you think it is. And that ultimately leads us all into this enslavement of this, the education, the science, the workforce. One of the things I remember the most when I was young, maybe 19 or something, I had gone to welding school. I wanted to just like load my truck up and take off down south and go start somewhere else, right?
Right.
But I got offered this job that was supposed to be like this, this life career here or whatever, and amazing benefits, and that's what you're trained to look for. You're trained to look for benefits and retirement, right? And those at this point, I don't trust the medical system. I don't go to doctors. I don't take pharmaceuticals. That benefit is no benefit to me anymore. Like that's what I was working for, so that I could participate in a medical program that I don't even believe in.
Yeah, when you were talking about the time, I was a kid and I was a writer when I was younger, and throughout my adult life in bands and music and shit like that. But I wrote a poem back in the day, and I'll never forget it. It was time is a fictional thing that someone has devised, a theory that is definitely in need of some revise. To go through your life asking, hey, what time is it? I think the man that invented time is definitely full of shit.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
was it was a joke, but even back then, time doesn't exist unless you're a living creature to experience time. You know, if you just exist as a rock, there is no time.
No.
You know, there is no time. Has to be a being that is aware. You know, but it's still it doesn't really exist. You were going to say something a minute ago. What were you going
I honestly couldn't tell you. Goldfish.
to? But yeah, man, that's time. It's another thing to just confuse you and keep you um, in the system. You know, oh, I don't have enough time to do this. Or I don't have time to do that.
Right, and kind of going off what you're saying is, how do they control us to a point to keep us from investigating what they're saying? They get you tied up, like Fed was saying, work, benefits, all this stuff. Like they keep you so occupied
Yeah,
all the time that you can't think about it, and then all of a sudden, someone does, like me or Eric or you, like we start talking about it, like, oh no no, let's go out there and shut them down because they're talking about stuff they're not supposed to. We didn't okay that, so let's make sure they don't have any platforms, but we'll keep pushing, the narratives, like, oh, and like we see over in France right now, they jumped the retirement age by a couple of years, and we all see what's going on now.
that's what they're saying. Is there's more to that story? That's not the only part of that story, but there was something somebody showed where if you go to Instagram or you go to Facebook, you type in France, it shows you like the Eiffel Tower and people and beautiful stuff, and then you go to TikTok and you hit France, and it shows you riots and stuff. So TikTok, even though it's a Chinese-owned company, they are showing you more of the truth than the American.
Yeah, they
Yes,
sure are.
and you just seeing the protests and the riots and everything all over the place, it just goes to prove that people do not want to be controlled. People want to be left alone to do what they feel they want to do.
But why aren't
It's
why
it's
aren't
a break
Americans
away
fighting
from the
back?
citizen,
Why
because
we're the ones with all the guns, and you got the Frenchies over there with their fucking croissants doing the you know. I mean, they're the ones doing it, and we're the ones that are supposed to be doing it. But we know if we do it, you're talking the end of things, as you know.
yeah,
The end of our ways is over once you pull out that first firearm,
it's
and people don't want to do that. I
I
don't
think
want to do that.
no, I mean, I think it goes to prove the point that instilling fear in people is the best way of control.
It's a powerful
It
form of
is,
control.
and that's why this stuff is so important. And people fight us, of course, like that's fine. I don't mind, having a conversation or a discussion, but just the outright hate is insane. And it goes going back to why I say people are just scared. They're scared that everything they've been taught their entire life has truly been a lie. And for people to accept that means that they themselves could actually be a lie.
We,
You
I
know?
was talking. I've seen it on Joe's page recently too, but just recently, man, I've been getting lots of comments from people like, "Dude, you brought this to my attention. I really appreciate it." I seen it on your page too, saying you and Caleb, y'all changed my world, my mind, way I look at things. I didn't change. We didn't change your mind. We just gave you an opportunity to open your mind and look into it for yourself. Because I can't change your mind. All I can do is say, look at these things. If that makes you piques your interest, you'll look deeper. And you've seen it. I've seen it. It's an amazing thing when somebody tells you that you've made me look at the world differently. That's there's nothing more rewarding than that for me on my page.
Right.
You know, it's not just flat Earth. I mean, this is like the same kind of thing happens to people with their spirituality journeys too. Because if you are brought up in a specific religion and you are only taught one story, one ideology of what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to believe, like without exploring and talking to other people and hearing other things, like you're kind of just stuck in one lane, man, and you don't ever look to the side and see what else is going on out there. And it's easy to get led down like into a tunnel vision when
Dude,
it
if
comes
you're busy
to
working, like we were
right.
talking about. My stepdad, he worked 7-10s, 7-12s for 6 months at a time. He'd be out of town, away from his family, working. You think that man gave a shit about what NASA was doing or about what, that they're lying? He's like, dude, I got this line to put in. I ain't worried about, but during COVID, you had a lot. I know this happened, like you said, Joe, back in 14 was when it was kind of popping. But COVID happened. You had everybody on the computer with nothing to do. And it just really, they fucked themselves there. They really did. They gave people too much time, and people their imagination started going instead of worrying about, I got to get up tomorrow morning and go to work. It changed everything. It really pushed this movement right in the ass,
Yeah, and look at when you're finally free to do something. If you get the chance to be free from work, you're way too old to even begin trying to change anything.
Have you seen his intro video that he did for the festival, where he was talking about at the end of the day, and it's got the jar, and you got this little bit of money going in the jar, and it's like you gave away your whole life, everything you wanted, everything you dreamed about. You gave it all away for something you didn't even want in the first place, Joe. That was a hell of a statement there, man. And
I'm even watching it on this festival thing. People are saying, "Man, I wish I could go."
Yeah, I'm sick of hearing it.
It's too far away, or you know what, man? Like when I went to the one in South Carolina, I grabbed my wife. I said, "We got to go to this Flat Earth Festival." I built these. I cut up dog crates and built custom partitions and put them in the bunk beds of my camper so that my dogs have their own spot in my camper. And I loaded that thing on my truck and we drove to South Carolina. It's like, it was so awesome to hang with those people. I already told you what the experience was like, just talking to all those people. But man, that moment, it was 3 days or so out of my life. I loaded up my truck. I hit the road and went and did something I wanted to do. And that's what this is really about. This is an experience. It's in the summertime. You got a couple months to plan for it. I tried to make this be as cheap as I possibly could achieve, renting the facilities and getting these people to travel from all over and putting all this stuff together. And ultimately, like, maybe camping's not your thing, right? But here's someplace you can go for 2 days and you got a spot. You don't have to get a hotel room if you don't want to. You can sleep in your car. You can grab a tent. Like, you can make this as cheap as possible. And that's what I'm trying to do, just to get people. And after COVID, man, after everybody's behind all these screens for all these years, like, I want to get out. Let's go outside. Let's get together, hang out. Like, people need this, man.
We're given vacation from work for a reason. Like, don't be afraid to use vacation. Like, your job cannot fire you or treat you badly because you took vacation that they gave you. There's a mindset in America where we're allowed time off, but we're so afraid to use it.
Yeah.
It's there. Use it, guys. Use the time. Get out of your job, get out of your house, and go do something different. Do something you've never done before. And if going to, FedUp's conference is something different and something new for you, then do it. Don't be afraid, man. Like, you've got the time. Use the time that your job gives you, even though that's part of our little slave chains. Take it and use it. They give it to you. Don't let it go. Just take advantage of it.
And the thing we got here, too, in my case, my stepdad's coming with me. So that split the cost for me. So everything's half what it was. But I've got 15 cities along the way that's got mud flood buildings, that's got Tartarian structures that I can go get footage of. And then and I'm not going to talk on it. I'm just going to take the footage, go home, write scripts over it. I got video after video after video when I do this. And then once I get there, I get to do a video with Fed Up. I get to do a video with Caleb. I get to do a video with Derek. I get to do a video with the Flocking Queen and Witsit and all these people, and you're gathering content all along the way and putting that in your bank, of stuff for your videos. It's going to be, for me, he's going to go to Saratoga. My stepdad's going to go to the horse. That's a bucket list thing for him. He's going to try to make it to mine to see me talk, but I'm like, dude, enjoy your time. I'm doing this with my boys. You don't have to come watch me talk about flat Earth. You don't agree with it. Go do your horses, man. That's what you do. But there's a will, there's a way. If you really want to do this, it can be done. And it's not. You can't say, well, I'm on the West Coast. Well, you can't bring Fed Up to the West Coast so he can do a festival near you. He's going to do it where it's near him, and you got to go to him. That's the way it works. If you want a festival near you, put one together. We'll come to that.
One of the parts of doing this too was no one's done a big flat Earth event on the East Coast yet. They're usually central. I know they do a lot of small meetups down in Florida, but as far as like a big event like this, no one's really put one on in the East Coast. So I kind of feel like that's an important part of this too. There's going to be a big one in Vegas and for Flattoberfest. And, some people can't make it to that side of the country. Some people can't make it to my side of the country. I just think it's cool to have the opportunity. And
yeah, I've never been, like I was at work bullshitting with this guy. And I was like, man, I got a video that's got like 400,000 views. It was the one about the Urbano Monte map that ended up getting the most views I had. He was like, wow, I want to check it out. I said, well, just be prepared. I'm a flat earther and you're going to call me crazy and shit. And he goes, what? I'm a flat earther. And he was right next to me. He was working I work over here. He's working right over there. So you don't realize all these people are around. He would have never brought it up to me.
right.
But the fact that I was like, fuck it, I trust this guy enough to where I'm gonna tell him I'm a flat earther. And he was already one before me.
Yeah.
So it's like there are people around you that don't, not that he was ashamed to admit it. I'm not saying that. But there are people that are. There are people that are ashamed. So whatever numbers you got going that are saying this is how many flat earthers we have out there, go ahead and triple it or quadruple it, maybe even more.
That's a good idea, Baxter. I don't have nothing like that.
What was it? What did he say?
Well, so that right there. So yeah, I mean, I know you're in the apparel business. So I mean, do you have any like specific shirts for the event that you might be printing that people can just buy to also help support the show?
Yeah, actually, I have event shirts, but I didn't even really put them on my website for sale because it's going to be part of the ticket. But I will. It's a good idea.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. Because shoot, like I said, unfortunately I'm not going to be able to go, but I would gladly, buy a shirt, whatever, hat, something, or decals. I don't know how involved your business is, if it's just merch or not, but like, yeah, anything like that would be fantastic. That'd be a really cool way to help support everything.
Yeah, see, because I bought him the shirt, so I bought both of them shirts. So yeah, he can grab what. Have you ever been on there? He's got a lot of shit.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff on there. Yeah.
And if you added more too, didn't you add some Flat Earth T-shirts? More of those? Did you?
Yeah, I actually didn't even know I didn't have that till you told me that it was only on there in a sweatshirt. So I did add that. And, the Fed Up with the Global Lies is now available in a T-shirt.
Yeah, I like that.
This is what that's what the event shirts are going to look like there.
Okay. There you go, guys. Nice.
Is it going to be just on the front?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, here we go from Baxter.
Oh no.
Oh, what about it? He wants some signed T-shirts.
Hey, I was thinking about doing this, Joe. Auctioning off my flat Earth map signed and my little globe that I smack around.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm thinking about putting it up for sale and try to put that towards the event. You know,
You know,
do what I can.
what I want to do on Sunday is I kind of want to. This is all going to come down to when I finally like lay out the itinerary and everything. But I want Sunday to be more like just this casual thing where you could do something like that, some kind of raffle or something, but kind of just have everybody up on a panel and do like some meet and greet stuff, some pictures, some Q&A, and
Yeah,
like
that was a good idea, man. Because he was telling me it was like the first day will be you'll have say 30 minutes to an hour or whatever time slot you can do, and then the next day will be that. It'll be a panel and everybody on it. And I don't know, you might not want to ask me. You may want to ask Caleb. You know, he's more of the physics guy. You know, or more of the Witsit, the more physics guy. But if you want to talk about smacking globes and shit and smacking people, I'm your guy. You know,
or maybe have two of you up at the same time.
Yeah, because I thought
bouncing
about
off one another.
On my portion of my time, I'm going to do more comedy related stuff, impressions, you know, that I've done in the past, but also bring up other guys back up. Like, hey, somebody, hey, come here for a minute.
Right.
Joe, you know more about this than me. Tell them what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to say. And just intermingling with the other hosts, you know, and getting everybody comfortable and just in improv mode.
You're an icebreaker.
Yeah, I'm good at that. I did it for you. Did stand up for years. So you're going to be nervous, but that's the fun part. That's what lets you know you're alive. When you walk out on that stage, it's a naked feeling. If you suck,
you're not going to be naked, are you?
No, but
okay.
you're going to feel naked if the crowd doesn't like you. But this isn't going to be that because I have not met one true earther yet that wasn't super nice, super easy to get along with, super open-minded, very cordial people, apologetic, humble. They're just good people. And here I was being a cocksucker, you know, calling out Derek, you know, saying, don't you got anything else to talk about, dude? Every day it's the same shit. And now here I am doing the same thing. You know?
It's definitely not going to be a naked flat earth party.
No. But it's kind of like what I said. It does have a Woodstock feel to it. It has a Woodstock feel to it.
Flat stock.
Flat stock in the background. I want a T-shirt that says flat stock on it. It's mine.
That would be sweet. That would be really cool to do too.
But yeah, man, this is going to be an amazing time. So regardless, Joe, of what happens, me and my stepdad are making this trip. So Joe needs to reach a certain amount of people before he can do this. You know, you can't just foot this bill and nobody show up.
Right.
You know, so he has to sell some tickets. So if you guys want the ticket, you need to buy it. And if the event was to cancel, he's going to return the money to you. You know, it's like.
Yeah, I have this all set up as a pre-order right now just to make sure that, you know, I'd like to see at least 250 people in order to rent out a place of this magnitude and ask these people to travel from all over the country to do these presentations. And I mean, I think it's going to be awesome. But
there ain't no doubt about it. I mean, it's just we just got to get the asses in the seats.
And maybe if it doesn't prove to be that big of an interest, we'll modify the event maybe and
do it at a smaller venue or whatever we got to do, man.
Do something different with it. But I'm shooting for the stars, man. I want this thing to be huge.
I agree with you 100%. People telling you not to. Some of the bigger flat earthers that he's brought into this, I'm not going to say no name. Yeah. But they're like, man, you're shooting too high for this, man. It's just because he's trying to do more than what you're doing. And if it was to be successful, it's kind of a smack. You feel, no, you should say, look, dude, I'm behind you 100%. What do you need from me? I'll help you. You know, I'll put it on my website. I'll do this. If you can't make it, we'd love for you to come. But if you can't come, you can still support this event through your reach of the people. And if you know people in New York, that's who we got to push this to. The closer, the better. You know.
Right. And that's the thing. That should be a challenge to them. Like, look, if you think this is too much, then help out. You know, push it out there. Make it achievable, and see how big this can really be. Like, don't sit there and try and tell me he's trying to do too much. Encourage it.
Yeah, I mean that's common, man. I see the point of what they're saying, but you never. When somebody's got their balls on the line, they're putting it out there. You can't knock that. You know, you gotta. You can see that. Hey, maybe if you just rented, let's say, a banquet hall for $2,000, That could be badass too, but it's not going to be us out in the field with guitars, man. It's just not. And dispensaries
I love it.
and a stage and
You know that
it's not gonna be-
typically these kind of conventions where it's more of an information based thing and not like, say, a rock concert or something. These type of things are basically inside, and and these people are up doing their presentations. There's people that get up to go have a cigarette, or you're losing the attention span. And I just thought to be at an outside event where everybody can just keep doing their thing and listen to, you can walk over to the bar and grab yourself a drink, or you can have your smoke and stand by the stage and listen. I think the outdoor part's going to make this really cool.
It will. And the one thing I was not concerned about, but you have losing my train of thought. Oh God, I hate when I do this while you're sitting there thinking. But you got we're preaching to the choir here. We're gonna have a bunch of true earthers out there, and to start telling them that water's level is not gonna be necessary. So you're gonna have to change it up some to where you either make it fun or something new that you haven't talked about. Find something that you have never talked about, some new proof that you've come up with. Because otherwise, these people have already heard it, through either you, me, Caleb, one of us has said it. So that's why I'm going to get more into the personal side of this. And what changed you? Why did you do this? What made you become a fighter?
You know what it does do, when you were talking about like the vibe of the people and stuff, I think ultimately as you go down this journey and you start to learn about what this mentally does to you and your history that you're taught, your education that you're taught, when you think about our country, our wars, like all of this stuff has nothing to do with any of us. We don't have enemies that are in another country that have another color skin that hate me. That's not true. That's just what we're told. Somebody drew imaginary fucking lines on a map and said, you guys are in this country and you guys are in this country and you guys don't like each other. Like, somebody taught you all that shit. They divided the human race into countries. And then inside those countries, they divide you into political parties. And inside those political parties, they divide you into races. And inside those races, they divide you into genders. And inside all of that, now they divided you in between globers and flat earthers. So everybody keep fighting each other while we fuck you all over.
He's not wrong. And too,
That's a George Carlin joke right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's really not wrong. So if you look at world leaders, especially after they're not anymore, like someone else is taking their spot, they all get along. They're all best buddies. They laugh, cut up, joke, and all that stuff.
Wrestling.
You can even look in just on our past presidents. Do they bicker and fight with each other now that they're not president? No. You know where you see a great example of that? Not only in our government, but in the courtrooms. You'll watch somebody sit on trial, and these two lawyers will get up there and go head to head like MMA style, attacking each other. The gavel comes down and the judge says, let's take a break. Them two lawyers are going to lunch together, laughing it up, man. And that's what we are. We're the laughing stock.
Well,
it's all theatrics.
It is. A lawyer's first commitment is to the courts, not so they don't represent you if their first commitment is to the court. So that's a whole other thing TikTok is under scrutiny for, because people are learning about this. You don't have to pay taxes. You don't have the registration. You don't have to. None of this stuff is legal, and that's blowing up right alongside Flat Earth. Is this state national stuff?
Yeah, it's too much free
it
speech
truly
going
is,
on.
man. There's David Straight. If you've seen any of his videos, guy's got a plethora. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's got a plethora of knowledge about what. Have you ever heard of the Black's Law Dictionary? I'm getting one because I'm learning what these words truly mean. Because the guy said he went into court, not David Straight, but the guy sat down in court and he said, "Okay, the first opening statement." He goes, "Well, first I got to ask you, which dictionary are we using here? Are we using the Black's Law Dictionary or this English dictionary, the typical dictionary?" and it was like the judge shut it down and dismissed the case almost immediately. It was like, because they're using the Black's Law, but they're not telling you. So when you say, I understand, have you ever heard about this? I understand. You understand your rights you've been given.
Oh, right.
Well,
right, yep.
do you stand under your rights? No, I don't. I'm not giving up that, and that's what you're saying with your language.
I stand under no man is what you tell them.
Yeah, I'm a living, breathing man. That's what the guy says. I'm not a person. I'm not a citizen. I'm a living, breathing man. And these judges lose it, man. She got up and was like, and went out. He said, I guess this is over. And they said, no, sir, you need to stay seated. He got up and walked out. He was an old guy with a big, long beard, man. Looked like a nomad.
Them dogs. Give me a second.
We're going to be winding this down here, Joe. He just took a break.
Hang on. My dogs are...
That's all good, man. We're getting ready to wind down. But we really appreciate you coming on here. If you've got any closing statements about anything you want to say.
Yeah, come hang with us.
Yes.
For sure.
We'll be sharing the hell out of it. July 29th, July 30th in Pattersonville, New York. Yep. Come and see Joe and all of his, Caleb and Derek and myself and all these other, some of your favorite True Earthers will be there. And we're going to have a blast, guys. It's going to be like I said, like a Woodstock.
And after the live is done, I will add the link here for the conference in the description below, so you guys can go and check it out that way as well. So it'll always be there.
And big thanks to you, D. Baxter, man, for coming in and getting us a lot of comments, guys. We really appreciate all of you that joined us today.
Yep.
We're gonna try to do this more often if we can, but life intervenes, and we're all adults, so we have to figure out a best way to maybe do. We're thinking about doing multiple videos in one day. Mm-hmm. That way we can get, like today, instead of doing one, we could have did 1 hour and then another hour and put it in the bank,
yes,
and share it not as a live, as a video. So we got many different ways, but we're all busy, man. So we try to get on here as often as we can.
Press it.
And it's great to bring on Fed up here, one of my favorite True Earthers out there. So go to his page, like At the Resistance podcast page, and let's get these pages working together and growing.
And if you're on our live right now and you're subscribed and you don't have notifications turned on, I'm going to come and find you.
Hey, thanks, Joe, for coming on, man. We really appreciate your time, man, as always.
Yep.
Thanks
Joe.
for having me.
Appreciate it, brother.
We'll see you soon, bud.
Take care.
All right. Later, guys.